Good afternoon and welcome to section 6.1, percents and decimals. Yay, we're into a whole new unit. So we're going to talk about how to convert a percent into a decimal and a decimal into percentages. So we have our key idea here, which is writing percents as decimals. You remove the percent symbol, then divide by 100, or just move the decimal point 2 places to the left. This is actually, after all the things that we've done, it's actually fairly straightforward. So we're going to write 52% as a decimal. So it says to take 52% and we're going to move the decimal place 2 places to the left. So you start here where the decimal is implied and go 1, 2 to the left, and the decimal place ends up there. So you end up with 59% is equal to 59 hundredths. Fairly straightforward. This one's a little bit more complicated because there's not two places, but we can add a 0, right? Because you can add zeros in this direction as much as you want, because it just means that there's 0, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, 10,000ths, etc. So we can write this as 0.7%, and then we're going to move the decimal point from here, where it's implied, 2 places to here. So you end up with 7% is equal to 7 100ths. And then they have these little hundreds boxes that you can check your answer. We used these yesterday when we did the activity. So we can check our answer. And if we count these, there's 59 grade-in things. So it's 59 of 100. So that kind of makes sense with what our answer is. Same with the 7 of 100. So on your own, you're going to write the percentages for these. So pause me and come back and see what you get. Hi, welcome back. So 24%, if we move the decimal point from here was implied, 1, 2, we end up with 0 and 24 hundredths. If we do it to 3%, we're going to move over 2 spaces. We add a 0 here. So we end up with 3 hundredths. 107%. So this was kind of tricky, but really if you just follow the rules, you're fine. If you divide by 100 or move the decimal point over to the left 2 places, you get 1 and 7 hundredths. 92.7%. Don't get flustered because the decimal point is there already. Again, you just move it over 2 places, so you end up with 0.927 thousandths. So 927 thousandths. So that's how you convert from a percent to a decimal. All right, how about going the other way, writing decimals as percents? Turns out you just do the exact opposite thing. So here in the key idea, you multiply by 100 or move the decimal points 2 places to the right, then add a percent symbol. So if we have 0.4 and 47 hundredths, we just move the decimal point over to the right 2 places and add a percent sign. So you end up with 47%. Same thing with this one. If we have 0.663, we just move the decimal point over by 2 places, 1, 2. So the decimal point ends up there. So we end up with 66.3%. 1.8. Remember, we can add as many zeros as we want going this way. So if we go 1, 2, we end up with 180%. So 1 and 8 tenths is actually 180%. 0 and 9 thousandths, move it over 1, 2, we end up with 0.9%. Pretty straightforward. So why don't you try these on your own? So pause me and come back and see what you get. So welcome back. So 94 hundredths ends up being 94%. So you move the decimal place over 1, 2. Same with this one. Move it over 1, 2. There's a 0 implied there. So we end up with 120%. Number 7, move this decimal point over 2. We end up with 31 6/10 of a percent. 5 1,000ths ends up being 5/10 of a percent. So example 3, writing fractions as a percent and a decimal. If we have 20, so on a math test you get 92 points out of 100. So we know from the way we used to grade that would be a 92%. And if we were to convert that into a decimal, it would equal 0.94. So which one of these two isn't that? Well, if we multiply the top and the bottom by 4 here, we end up with 92 over 100. So that's this one. Oh, sorry, that's 92. Wow, 94. I don't know where I got that from. Yikes. Sorry, guys. I should say 92 hundredths. So this is the same as that, right? Because that's actually 92 over 100. We say 92 hundredths. 92%, that's that one. C is 17 twentieths. Now, if I multiply both of these by 5, 17 times 5 is, let's see here, 17 times 5, 35, that's 85. Well, that's 85 out of 100, so it's not C. Let's just check this just for sure, and yep, those are equal, so it's not C. Okay, so now we have a real-life application. The figure shows the portions of ultraviolet rays reflected by 4 different surfaces. How many times more UV rays are reflected by water than seafoam? So we're going to convert all of this. So we're comparing, let's see here, water to seafoam. And we're going to compare them in a decimal form. So 25, if we write that in a decimal, so 25% is equal to 0.25. And water is 21 over 25. Multiply that by 4, so we put this in hundredths. We get 84 hundredths, which is equal to 0.84. So now to figure out how many more times this is than that, we're going to divide 0.84 by 0.25. And you move the decimal place over 2, goes up here. Through the magic of a calculator, it ends up being 3 36 hundredths. So we can round it up and say that is 3.4 times more UV lights or rays are reflected. Okay, on your own, so give me a pause and come back when you've done them yourself. Welcome back. So 18 out of 100 as a percent, well, that would be 18% because it is 18 hundredths, which is 0.18 hundredths. Example 4, how many more times UV rays are reflected by water than sand? Well, we know water and we know sand, so it turns out we just divide 0.84 by 15, and again through the magic we get 5 6. So 5 6/10 more times. So that was a really quick unit. Thanks, and I'll see you later.